Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another live stream here on the channel. Hopefully you guys are all having a fantastic Monday so far. See, we have in here, we have Caleb, Caden, Edits, Indiana, also Weather Warrior, Oversteer. We have Mr. Tanks, let's see, Cody, Misty, Tapwater, Maury, let's see, further down, Random Guy, Crazy Rider, Alt, as well as Rockets and Marcus, as well as Ponderosa, Liam. Glad to see all 70 of you guys all in here today for another stream on the channel. Also, welcome everybody else I may have forgotten to welcome, or if you're just now tuning in or may not be chatting. Glad to have you in here. All right, let's go and switch on over to our main scene. Hopefully everything's good. Camera's a little bit high, but we'll go with it. Alrighty. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about the risk for severe weather, like we have been over the last week and a half or so, going into Friday and Saturday. Let me go ahead and pause this loop. So we're going to just dive right on into the categorical risks from the Storm Prediction Center. I'll go and turn on those city names there. Alrighty, so this is for Friday. If you tuned into yesterday's live stream, this may actually look a little familiar here because this is pretty much exactly the area that I was calling out for the risk of an enhanced risk for severe weather. And they did end up issuing that here for the day 5 outlook. You can see we've got that enhanced risk level 3 out of 5 already in place over Little Rock, Pine Bluff, Hot Springs, Memphis, Jackson, Tennessee, into southern Missouri. A little bit north than what I was expecting, but generally that's right around where I was thinking it was going to end. I was thinking it was going to end between St. Louis and just north of the Boot Hill of Missouri. So that's your question mark, is really how far north your moisture is going to go there. And so far, their confidence is highest just barely to the south of St. Louis. We've got that slight risk for severe weather stretching all the way from just a couple miles northeast of Houston. So, you know, Lufkin, Texas, Jasper. You guys are all in that Tyler, Texas, east of Greenville, Texas, Sulphur Springs, Mount Pleasant, Texas, all the way up. Keep going all the way up here into southwestern Wisconsin. And despite what people were saying about moisture yesterday, and what people have been saying today as well, and the fact that moisture may not be sufficient, they've actually pushed the slight risk northward. I know, a little bit of a shocker there. They've actually gone ahead and extended that slight risk just the tiniest bit more to the north than yesterday's outlook. Remember that it doesn't take 60, 65 degree dew points to cause damaging winds or spin up tornadoes. I don't think we will have a strong tornado threat up here by any means, but we'll go more in depth on the greatest threat for severe weather in this area, what that may look like, and what the most likely case scenario could end up being for most of this risk. Also have that slight risk all the way into Nashville. I believe that's right about the same. I can't remember, but yesterday it was somewhere very close to Nashville, Tennessee. So the eastern extent of this looks relatively the same from yesterday's outlook. I wouldn't be too surprised if they do push this slight a little bit more to the southeast, but I don't think it will be a big push to the southeast, like to the Gulf coastline. So generally, a good outlook here from the Storm Prediction Center. I don't think much is going to change tomorrow. There's not really many expansions we could see here. That 30% risk is most likely for the potential of strong tornadoes, maybe even a long track strong tornado, as well as damaging winds of 70 to up to 80 miles per hour there. Now, as we get closer, confidence may increase in the risk for damaging winds more to the north. If you are north of St. Louis, your main threat by far is going to be damaging winds. Also, could have your main threat being damaging winds as opposed to tornadoes. We'll have to wait until we get closer to figure out exactly what the highest hazard is going to end up being. Dew points is moisture. Without moisture, storms are not going to be intense. Typically, we look for greater than 60 degree dew points. So the higher the dew point, the better in terms of severe weather. If you have low dew points, you're going to end up with just storms not having enough moisture to form and enough moisture to fire. So you need those dew points. You can see tornadoes with low dew points of around the 50 degree point, but typically for spring, you're going to be needing those 55 plus degree dew points. And for Friday, north of St. Louis, we should see anywhere between 50 to 55 degree dew points. So it's going to be right on that edge of favorable for spin up tornadoes and also possibly not favorable for spin up tornadoes. As we get closer, we'll know exactly how high up those dew points may go. So that's Friday's risk for severe weather. Let me move my pin out of the way. There we go. Here is Saturday's risk for severe weather. They did go ahead and issue an enhanced risk for severe weather. Not surprised there by any means. I'm not shocked by that. I do think this enhanced risk could expand in all directions. I wouldn't be shocked to see it go more north, east, as well as south, east, southwest, as well as west. I mean, it seriously could expand in pretty much all directions there for that enhanced risk. But the greatest risk for severe weather will be focused definitely over like east central Mississippi and central Alabama. Generally, that area there definitely going to end up being the greatest risk for severe weather. I wouldn't be shocked if we get a moderate risk on both of these days. I'm going to be straight honest with you. I don't believe we will end up with a moderate risk on both days because that would be quite insane. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get a double barrel 2 moderate risks here back to back for both Friday and Saturday's risk. But one or the other is going to be more substantial. I don't think both are going to be the same significant magnitude. Either moisture is going to overperform here on Friday, and then Friday will be the biggest threat for severe weather, and then your dew points will end up being a little bit lower for Saturday, so Saturday would be slightly less, but generally we're looking at the same threat for severe weather. Generally, if you're in that enhanced risk for severe weather there for Saturday, or the enhanced risk here for Friday, we're looking at the threat for strong tornadoes, maybe a long track strong tornado, especially on Friday, damaging winds of 70 to 80 miles per hour, and the hail threat's a little bit of a question mark, but I would assume hail's not going to be the biggest issue. For Friday, we're probably looking at the biggest hail threat being further south, could see up to about an inch and a half in diameter, and then Saturday, it's Dixie Alley, so probably not going to see much more than an inch and a half in diameter there as well. I don't think it'll be a big hail threat. So also that slight risk was pushed significantly more to the northeast. Yesterday, I believe it stopped, if I'm not mistaken, that slight risk stopped just barely to the southeast of Nashville, Tennessee for Saturday's risk. They've pushed that all the way up almost into Ohio. You can see it is on the edge of Ohio. Oh, nope, it is in Ohio. Look at that. We've got the tiniest little bit of our slight risk that goes on into Ohio there. So they've pushed that all the way up to Indiana, Ohio, almost West Virginia, Virginia, North Carolina. Of course, same as what we saw yesterday. Georgia's still in that slight. Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and the panhandle of Florida with that enhanced risk introduced there in the middle, 30% chance of severe weather. Now, we're not close enough to see the exact hazard, so I don't have like the SPC's tornado probabilities, but based off of their discussion, they are way more confident in the threat for significant severe weather on Friday as opposed to Saturday. Like I mentioned in yesterday's live stream, I think Saturday is going to end up being a very messy line of damaging winds with probably some spin up tornadoes embedded in the line. Whereas Friday, I feel like Friday is going to end up being a lot more notable of a threat for severe weather, at least at this point. We did get... Ooh! Wow, hey! Let's give a round of applause to the GFS over here. Look at this. It's actually trying to fix itself, finally. There's your newest run. Here's your run from earlier today. The GFS is actually trying to fix itself and actually go ahead and pull back. It's actually beginning to pull back and agree the tiniest bit with the European model run there. So it's finally starting to, definitely not fully realizing the threat of the severe weather, but it's finally starting to pull back towards the solution of the southern mode being that greatest threat for severe weather. It didn't fix its dew points that much. It's still underdoing dew points quite significantly. It fixed them a little bit in Dixie Alley. Look right there in Alabama, eastern Mississippi. It fixed them slightly. There's your new one and your old one. So it did pull them the tiniest bit more north. Also want to pull this back. See if it fixed them into like Missouri, Illinois. Maybe a little bit, just the tiniest bit, like a degree or two higher on the 18Z. It's trending the right way. It is trending the right way to where the European believes our greatest threat for severe weather will be. I think the GFS is underplaying not instability, moisture significantly. You can see how your moisture begins to get pulled up northward, right? It's being pulled up northward. And then for some reason, Friday afternoon, it just stops. Like your moisture just doesn't get pulled on this side of the U.S. here and this side of the Gulf. It just straight up doesn't get pulled up at all. And you can see the European model run, it does indeed pull that up quite rapidly. No, it's trending the right way because the GFS is an outlier. And you can see here yesterday, or rather not yesterday, this morning, the low pressure was up here in kind of central Kansas. And with this afternoon's run, you can see it's starting to go into south central Kansas, maybe into the panhandle of Oklahoma. So it is slowly, and I mean slowly, trending to the southwest. We'll probably see that shift completely back up north at the 0Z, right? The 18Z fixes itself, and then the 0Z just screws it all up again. Instability still, we're still looking at a bimodal threat here. However, that northern side is going to be lacking in dew points and moisture. So I highly doubt we will see as a notable of a northern threat as a southern threat here. Also want to look at precipitation type. Yeah, and you can see we are probably going to initiate thunderstorms quite semi-discreetly out in this area. I don't think it will be a big line of severe weather right off the bat. I personally believe we will see a good 3, maybe even longer than that, hours worth of semi-discrete supercells. And then after that 7, 8 p.m. time frame on Saturday, they'll start to congeal up into a line as they move into eastern Arkansas, southeast Missouri, west Tennessee, west Kentucky. And then as you go on into Saturday, this is as far as we can go on the GFS here. But it looks like At least recently, the GFS has downtrended quite substantially with the threat for severe weather in Dixie Alley on Saturday. Comparing the 12Z yesterday to the 12Z today, it is notably lower of a severe weather threat. So big downtrend for Saturday on the GFS model run. And I believe Saturday's threat, I believe that's probably being somewhat underdone now by the GFS. Oh, well, look at that. It looks like it's fixing Saturday, too. There's your old GFS from 6 hours ago. Your new one, it looks like it is fixing that as well. So it looks like GFS is finally sorting itself out here a little bit. Hopefully that continues so we can get some more accurate data. And yeah, definitely. Yeah, there you go, GFS. That's what I'm talking about. Look at that difference. There's your old one and your new one. Finally fixing itself up. I hope that continues towards 00Z. Because if it doesn't, then the GFS is going to continue to be a big outlier, and then we're not going to be able to use one of our more accurate model runs. I want to take a sounding here already. I know we're only 15 minutes in the stream, but I want to get a quick sounding out here in Dixie Alley for Saturday. Wow. Yeah. Look at all, oh my goodness, look at all those analogs. Look at that. Jeez. That's crazy. Yeah, that is a very, very potent environment for long-tracked tornadoes there. Strong long-track, maybe even intense long-track tornadoes. Whether or not that happens is going to all come down to probably storm mode and lapse rates. It looks like the GFS has some morning convection lingering around Saturday morning. You can see here, this is 8 a.m. Eastern. Lingers around quite a bit. But then as we go towards like the 3 p.m. time frame, that lingering convection would probably start to intensify into more of semi-discrete supercells there. Or maybe clustered supercells. So GFS definitely has quite a substantial threat for severe weather out there in Dixie Alley on Saturday. The Euro model, we are getting the 12Z in as well. You can see the Euro model is in some agreement. I don't think it's in the best agreement with the GFS. Yeah, let's go to the new one. So that's your, wow. Your new GFS really has fixed itself there. Look at that difference. Really fixed itself there on the newest GFS. And if we go back to the Euro, it's similar to the Euro, whereas 12Z, it was a big outlier. And then for instability, again, quit switching me to the 12Z. Keep switching me to the wrong model run. So that's the 18Z GFS there. You could see your greatest instability line is right in here. And if we look at the Euro is quite lower on instability. If I had to guess, that's probably because it lingers. Yeah, it lingers a lot more convection in the morning and afternoon hours, which results in your more classic, very messy Dixie Alley setup. Classic is in what we've seen for like the last 4 enhanced risks in Dixie Alley out here this year so far. You guys keep saying Ohio, 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 so let's look at Ohio. So that is right where your greatest wind shear is, I would assume. Yeah, so you've got this very sharply negatively tilted trough out here. Your actual surface low is located up there in Wisconsin. So you've got this very large area of enhanced wind shear across the Midwestern U.S., and the GFS really is going all in on that open warm sector being absolutely huge. In this entire area here, you've just got a very large warm sector. If we take a look at dew points, you can see we've got those 55 plus dew points along that entire warm sector there, with Dixie Alley into the 70 dew points. So I wouldn't be so confident on that. The GFS is probably overdoing that intensity in the Midwestern U.S. for quite a bit. Quite a overdone area of instability there. I would not expect that to happen. Now, we could still see a couple spin-up tornadoes, some damaging winds up in this area. That was the second area. We're freaking having 2 bimodal risks back-to-back here. Look at this. So for Friday, we're having a risk up here, and we're having a risk down here. And then for Saturday, the GFS wants a risk down here and up here. We've got two back-to-back bimodal risks there, both on Friday and Saturday, which I think Saturday has that better opportunity for a bimodal risk, but I'm definitely not sold on whatever the GFS is doing up here in Ohio actually happening. I don't think it will be that high end of an environment. So we'll take a look at the sounding here. Ooh, yeah, very much an ouch on those dew points there. That is not going to cut it. Almost a 20-degree temperature dew point spread there. So that's going to definitely struggle with some supercell development. So not surprised there. I do still think we could see some spin-up tornadoes though up there in Ohio or around the state of Ohio, somewhere in this area. Somewhere in here Saturday. I don't think either one of these days are violent tornado risks. No. I don't see that. Yesterday, the GFS was going all in. You know, yesterday I said that this would be a violent tornado risk here. However, in yesterday's stream, I noted big time that this would most likely downtrend significantly. And today, boom, downtrended a lot, like very significantly out in that area. So I don't think either one of them are violent tornado risks. I do think we have a possible intense tornado risk on both days, though. I think we're looking at strong tornadoes with the chance for an intense tornado on both Friday and Saturday. I also think both days could have a long track strong or intense tornado, just because of how they're going to be more discrete. Saturday is going to have that discrete supercells in the southern U.S. in that open warm sector, probably in east central Mississippi, central Alabama. And then Friday's probably going to have some semi-discrete supercells in south central Missouri, central Arkansas, moving eastward until it grows upscale in about 3 hours after those storms fire. So, no, I don't think either one of these days are a violent tornado risk. At least not yet. Now, here's a possible future outcome of what we see with these radar, or rather these model runs here. If you look at the Euro, see its warm sector for Friday. You have to keep in mind, these are global models, right? So there is a chance that even the European model run here is underdoing your instability and your dew points. There is definitely a possibility there that it is underdoing that warm sector. So I would not be surprised if by the time we get the NAM model and the HRRR and the RAP model, that this warm sector becomes substantially stronger and a little bit more to the north. I don't think we'll be seeing 60 dew points past the St. Louis area, but I do think we could see 60 dew points as high as the St. Louis area. So I think that would be like a more realistic 60-degree dew point warm sector there for 8 p.m. Friday night. Whereas if we look at the GFS, you can see the GFS 18Z, again, it's gotten a little better, just a little better, but it's still struggling quite a bit. It's it's wanting the same risk we had on March 4th, right? I believe that was March 4th. It was a very small warm sector, and that's really what the GFS is wanting again. Let's go over to Wilmington, North Carolina, just briefly. Wow. Holy! That's right near your surface low, I'd imagine. Yep, you can see this spin. See this spin in here? So you've got a surface low probably in this area here. And so that's right along that cold front. That's that's probably right on the cold front. Literally on the cold front right there. I am shocked that is not severe. This is probably producing 60-plus mile-an-hour winds. Very classic, intense bow echo here. Probably up to 70 mile-an-hour winds, to be honest with you. That is an intense bow echo. Very intense bow echo there. Even high DBZ values embedded inside of that, possibly up to 70, 65, 70. What are those blues? Okay, blues are 65, so you're looking at 65, 66 DBZ in some of these areas here. So very, very intense thunderstorm. What is this? 40 mile-an-hour winds my foot. Yeah, that's probably producing at least 60. You can also see all these little velocities here too. If we had a better setup, we would probably be ending up with some spin-up tornadoes along that bow echo there. Even though it's relatively outflow dominant, just all those velocities very close to each other. Let me look at the ingredients out here. Let's see. Yep, that is very close to your low. Your low pressure looks to be just to the west of this area, right about here, looks to be where your low is. Generally in that area. Relatively weak low. You do have some tornado ingredients in this area, but they're not high end. You have what? Let's see. Yeah, 200 lower level helicity, so that's what's giving those velocity signatures a little bit suspicious velocity signatures there. You also have a lower level jet because it's very close to your low pressure, your closed lows. So you've got about a 35, 40 knot lower level jet there. Your dew point temperature spread is about 3 degrees. You're at like 58 temps, 55 dew points. So very good environment for an isolated severe storm or two. Anything more than that, it's going to be a little tricky to get. Let me look at downdraft cape. Yeah, you're up to about 700 D cape out here, so yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if this is producing 60 to up to 70 mile per hour winds there. That's rather southwest of Wilmington, North Carolina, currently. All right, let's go back over to our model runs here. I'll switch you guys on over to this scene. And we are more zoomed in. Alrighty, let's go back to that European model run. 12Z here. Interesting. Like a completely different structure with that second trough. Look at the difference between this afternoon's model run and late last night's model run. Completely different structure for your trough ejection on Saturday. So, yeah, that's going to definitely allow for a much larger warm sector. Looks like the Euro is actively uptrending for Saturday. Yeah, Saturday could be a big day. If we can get any prefrontal supercells out there, definitely going to be able to see a strong tornado threat with that. Again, let's just compare that. So you got your 12Z today, European model run. Way more substantial trough ejection there. Closed low back out. And actually, that's not a closed low. That's a relatively broad, weak low there. But you can clearly tell that this is going to be able to ignite some thunderstorms, especially across this area here, because that's where your greatest open warm sector is. Back up in this area, you do have that closed low. This time, that is a closed low, negatively tilted trough. So definitely a bimodal threat there. You've got a threat up in that area, and then a very notable threat in this area. And if we take a look at 00Z, you can see 00Z really doesn't have much of a secondary threat further north. It may have a little threat for severe weather in this area here. And then you can see it just takes a very large, broad, negatively tilted trough here on Saturday, which would just ignite convection everywhere in that region, probably over-convect things. So 12Z European model run, definitely a substantial uptrend in the potential for significant severe weather in the southern U.S. on Saturday. We could compare the instability as well. So that's yesterday's run. This is today's. So substantially better instability there. Not in the secondary bimodal risk, though, up in Ohio. You actually lose a bit of instability on the new Euro. So we'll monitor that, see which way the euro keeps trending there. But what it looks like to me is right now the GFS and the euro just agreed on Saturday's threat. The euro continued being, the most likely case scenario for Friday, and the GFS has started to trend towards the euro for Friday. So it looks like the GFS is trying its best here on 18Z to trend back towards the European model run, which in my opinion is the more accurate one. We'll see if that continues towards 00Z or not. I assume it will, but I don't know the future, so. I do want to check the lower level jet as well. Not much change between the lower level jet and these model runs. You can see it shifted south, so GFS is definitely trying to correct its bias of being too fast and too amplified there. It's trying to fix it. We'll see if it fixes it by the 12Z model run tomorrow. And again, you can see if we zoom in, ooh, much better ignition of some discrete supercells there on the 18Z compared to the 12Z. A lot better on the 18Z there. So you can see these probably semi-discrete cells, maybe clustered cells that fire in your main southern risk for severe weather. Not the best ingredients, definitely pretty good in this area here. But outside of that, you're definitely lower on ingredients. So right along that cold front where you could see those semi-discrete cells form sometime very late Saturday afternoon into Saturday night, or rather, very late Friday afternoon into Friday night. The reason why I confuse that if I zoom out, I can't. But yeah, 00Z on these model runs, it turns into Saturday when you go to 00Z. So it says 00Z Saturday, but that's actually 8 p.m. Friday night Eastern time. So that's why I confuse my days up on these model runs sometimes. Also, wind shear, is that uptrended a lot? I wouldn't say it's uptrended a lot, but it's definitely... Can you just compare correctly, GFS, please? Please? Let's go to previous runs. It looks like it's slightly uptrended in northern Arkansas, but overall it's not been very consistent on where that greatest threat will be. It's not been very consistent on that greatest wind shear. You can see, though, look at the top. Look at the top. You can barely see it. I'll zoom out for you guys. Have it at. Look at the top. Look at this area right here. Watch this area of yellow. Watch how that goes more south. That's the trough ejection trending south overall. So the GFS, like I said, it's definitely trying to trend back towards the euro, which is exactly what we were thinking would happen. We'll see if it continues to do that at the 00Z model run tonight and then the 12Z tomorrow. Here's your surface-based instability there. Go ahead and change to that. So again, this is this is downtrended a lot. Look at that downtrend. That's because the GFS is not handling moisture well at all. So I do think the GFS is significantly underdoing instability and quite significantly underdoing dew points as well. No other model run has trended significantly downtrended like this. Not a single other model run is downtrended very significantly like that. Yeah, it did do this for the last event too, Ben. But the big difference was with the last event, all the other model runs were doing it too. In this case, it's just the GFS. With March 4th threat, all model runs, the Euro, the GFS, the Canadian, and because we were close, the NAM, all the model runs were doing it too. Now it's just the GFS. Also, I just want to show you how to spot a very clear outlier here really quick. Ooh. See, it's also pushed south on the trough ejection too, on the 18Z. So I'm liking the GFS a little bit better. It still is going to need some time to really fix itself. You can see how really earlier, like March 14th, or not March 14th, rather, the 18Z GFS from March 8th, about 2 days ago. That was probably one of your more accurate model runs. I don't know if we're going to be able... No, we're not going to be able to see that, are we? Oh, wow, it actually loaded in there. So this was one of your more accurate model runs for the GFS here because it showed your trough more south. It still... it still somehow managed to bring in its bias and pull the low pressure way too far north. But it's getting there. Here, if you follow the track of the Euro model here, of where that low goes, it's generally in this area here, right? Just check that again. Yeah, generally like that. If you check the GFS, the new GFS, very close. I mean, it's just a little bit off at the start. It goes like this. It is very, very close to the European model right now. But it's still too fast. You can see the Euro has your low back here at 15Z. Whereas the GFS has your low... Let's do the new GFS. Your new GFS has your low too fast to the northeast at 15Z. So GFS is still a little bit too fast, but it is definitely starting to nail down the track a bit better now. There's your Canadian model run, which is really right in between the GFS and the Euro, so that's relatively the same. And I also want to go back here and compare the 18Z GFS to your current model runs. So this is your CFS. We're going to compare all these. So we're going to do the CFS here. This is where the CFS has your red area of jet stream being. And you go to your GFS, look how far north that is already on the 18Z, your newer one. Significantly more north. Your European model run, pretty far south. I think your Euro's a little bit too far south. Your Canadian model run, which is partially in the middle. That's right in here. Oops. It's more of right exactly where the NAM model had it. Or rather, exactly where the CFS model had it. Now, if we go to your... One more back. This is your high-res Canadian model run. It's generally right at that same white and pink line there. And then your NAM model. So it looks like your NAM model is the only model run, of course, that agrees with the GFS here. And I think we'll eventually see something more of in the middle here. That blue line is the Euro model there. So I think we'll see something in between the NAM and the Euro be the most likely case scenario there. So that would end up being like the Canadian model run probably is handling that trough the best. But how does it progress that trough? That's the question. Is it too fast? Let's see. It is a little fast, but I don't think it's too fast. So the Canadian is probably handling that trough ejection the best at the moment, just based off of all of our models there. But obviously, it's going to be underdoing instability, and I would almost bet you underdoing, yep, dew points as well. But again, we're looking at that 55-degree dew point mark. So with 55-degree dew points, that's pushing it all the way up into generally that area there. So you can still see how far north that favorable warm sector goes. Whereas if we look at the GFS, I mean, look at the GFS, it's so fast. That 55-degree dew point line stops like right there. Like literally it stops right there. If you look any more north, 53, 52, 51, oh, 54, 55, you get a little better pocket in here. Little bit better there. So overall, I think the GFS is underdoing moisture and instability. Slightly underdoing instability. Definitely underdoing moisture. The European model run, probably pretty good on instability and probably pretty good on moisture as well. I don't think it's underdoing it nearly as much as the GFS. And the Canadian model run, better on moisture, but probably still underdoing it. And the Canadian model run is seemingly the best trough ejection there. Most likely case scenario. And of course, we're going to get closer and closer to this event, so we'll get our higher resolution model runs like the NAM in. Another thing we can check really quick. Another thing we can check is the agreement on... let's see. We'll do this Friday morning. Aw, man. Okay, let's do one back. Maybe that will work. All right, let's do the 12Z NAM then. Aha. So that is... Let's go back to this one. There you go. This is going to be using the 12Z NAM too. So the GFS keeps those 60-degree dew points pretty much in the Gulf. I mean, just a small area. Just a very small area gets 60-degree dew points there. I'll pull it back to the Euro model. You can see the Euro model is quite substantially more north with those 60-degree dew points. Pull it back to the Canadian model run, pretty far south as well, right in alignment really with the GFS there. Then you have the high resolution Canadian, which is in agreement with the Canadian, shocker. And then you have the NAM. So really the NAM and the Euro are the most aggressive with moisture right now. So Thursday night we'll know exactly how bad that moisture is looking on the Gulf. If Thursday night at 8 p.m. we still have those 60-degree dew points up to like this area here, then we'll know that we're going to have a lot more substantial moisture there for Friday's threat. But if we come around to Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern and our dew point line is in this area, way far south, then we'll know, okay, moisture is going to end up being an issue. Also, by the time we get to that, we'll end up seeing the high-resolution model runs as well. We'll see some more high-resolution model runs, the HRRR, the RAP, the NAM 3K. Even the NAM will be fully rendered in by that time. All right, let me go back over here. So yeah, if you guys are enjoying this live stream, make sure you hit that like button. It's greatly appreciated. A little over half of you guys have hit that like button so far. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Like I said yesterday, we'll be live probably on a daily basis from here on out all the way till about Sunday or so. We'll be live every day. Unless there's like a day where we see no change at all, which I doubt that will happen. Tomorrow might be the day where we see no change, or it might be the day where model runs start to really switch and lock in more. I did see somebody say to check on Wednesday's threat there in Texas. So this is the NAM 3K model run. So like I mentioned in my video yesterday, it's all going to come down to the capping here. It's all going to come down to if that capping can break right along this area in here. If that cap doesn't break, then we won't see severe weather. If it does break, then we will see severe weather. So at the moment, it looks like the only model run that really wants that cap to break is probably the GFS. Even the rat model keeps that cap relatively strong. Still a few thunderstorms sneak through that cap, but relatively it keeps it strong. Your HRRR doesn't go far enough out just yet. So it looks like the GFS is the only one that breaks that capping at the moment. So we could still see quite a large area about this general vicinity here that could see some isolated large hail, isolated damaging winds. Maybe a spin-up tornado can't be fully ruled out. But it seems like the main threat's probably going to end up being hail and isolated wind for that day. About 60-mile-an-hour winds, 1-inch hail, brief spin-up tornado will be your main threat there. And speaking of that, the SPC here actually does have that marginal risk already out for this area. They haven't upgraded it to a slight risk. I don't know if they will. We'll see by the time the day one rolls around if they have enough confidence to upgrade that to a slight. I want to go check CSU for this day. Oh, okay. Interesting. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, I think that's all of our new data there. We could dive in a bit more in depth today like we did yesterday. But I'm not too sure if we should do that with the model runs starting to change now. I feel like we'll end up getting a little bit of some inaccurate data. Because it seems like the GFS is trending back towards the Euro model. Let me go here again. Yeah. I'll show you guys as well. So again, that newest 18Z GFS. Oh, I didn't check this drop, actually. How does that compare to the 12Z? Pretty much the same. Compare that to the Euro. It looks like the GFS has that trough quite notably stronger. Does the NAM? Interesting how the NAM has that trough stronger here, even though moisture still is able to pull northward perfectly fine. 18Z as well. What about the Canadian? It's crazy how the tiniest little shift in this trough could make the difference between 60-degree dew points all the way up to St. Louis and 60-degree dew points barely getting past central Arkansas. Also want to see the GFS's trend for Saturday. Yeah, so like I said there, still some uncertainty on Saturday. You can see the 18Z GFS. Definitely more north than the 12Z Euros, so we'll keep an eye on that, see exactly which way it trends. But either way, Saturday is going to be a big day for severe weather. It's just going to affect that lower level jet there. You can see the Euro, because the Euro has your overall trough stronger and more south, it has a much larger area of strong lower level jet. Whereas on the GFS 18Z, it's pretty large, but it's still not nearly as large as what the Euro has. Also want to see Sunday as well. Now, Sunday still looks like a big squall line out there in Virginia, North Carolina, probably South Carolina as well. I don't really know where the greatest threat would be for severe weather going into Sunday. For damaging winds, it would probably be like, let me draw a different color. It would probably end up being here for damaging winds, but for tornadoes, the greatest tornado threat may be where that forcing's less, where we could see some more discrete cells back in Florida for Sunday night, or Sunday evening, rather. See if this has a 2%. Or something, yeah. Yeah, it looks like that greatest threat will be right where I circled for damaging winds. Alright, let's go ahead and pull back on the 18Z GFS. I guess we'll go ahead and pull a few soundings just to see how it handles it. We'll pull a few here. So we'll go for 00Z Saturday. We'll go very far north. We'll go up in this area first. Go for central Illinois. We'll go for that potential greatest tornado threat there, southeast Missouri into central Arkansas, as well as northeastern Louisiana. We'll go into that weaker area that will probably be relatively limited there. And then overnight, this is going into overnight, that greatest threat will probably be more in the southern side. We'll also take one up in central Illinois again. And then we'll go into Saturday morning. This is Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m. We'll take one down here. We'll take one here. And then we'll take... we ain't gonna mess with Ohio at the moment. We'll go forward in time. We'll take about 3 more. Let's see some soundings here. Alrighty. There's your first sounding. Switch all... Okay, you guys are already on the right scene. Alright, so this one is going to be out there in eastern Iowa, which means pay attention to your dew points. And you can see, even though you only have 53 degrees, man, why was that so difficult for me to say? 53 degree dew points, you still get a tornado possible hazard sounding type there. Just simply because of your ridiculous veering mixed in with some decent lapse rates, ridiculous wind shear, and decent instability, it still would allow for a spin-up tornado threat because you do have that veering with height here. Not much of a dry air issue. There's some dry air, but I don't think that would really halt it significantly in terms of thunderstorm development. Probably wouldn't halt the threat overall, especially since your cold front will be very strong. So your cold front's probably going to just sweep all this up into a big line of storms. So mainly damaging winds and a spin-up tornado threat up here. That's on your northern risk area. Right there, eastern Iowa. Next sounding here should be, yep, a little bit more east. That's definitely going to prevent any prefrontal cells. But again, as that cold front comes through, it's going to force up thunderstorms anyways. So you can see you're still going to end up with that spin-up tornado threat. A lot of wind shear, okay instability, great hodograph. Okay, that's about a 13 temperature degree dew point spread. That's not horrible. That's not your sweet spot. Your sweet spot is typically about 7 to 10 degrees, in my opinion, is like your sweet spot there. So getting to 15 or greater, that's getting a little bit higher a dew point temperature spread there, and that is 13. So still could see some tornadoes out of that. Not terrible, and that is 55 degree dew points there as well. And did that go forward in time? Okay, that was for 00Z, so that's 8 p.m. Alright, more of where your greatest tornado threat should end up being. You can see we do actually have quite a issue there towards the surface. Only 54 degree dew points there. But again, great wind shear, great lapse rates, okay instability. You're quite lacking on instability. You've got quite a large gap there, about 14 degree temperature dew point spread. So that probably will end up hurting those semi-discrete supercells. They may not be able to mature quickly because of that. They may not be able to mature quickly in that open warm sector in southeastern Missouri. At least according to the GFS. That could change as we get closer. Most likely will change. Now the GFS for east central Arkansas, which in my opinion is probably going to end up being the greatest threat for severe weather, either central Arkansas or maybe east central Arkansas. And you can see exactly why. A really sweet spot there. 61 dew points, 71 temps. Really good on wind shear, good on lapse rates, good on cape. So overall, that is a really good sounding for severe weather. Not the absolute best veering with height. You can see we don't have an absolute north to south winds here in the far lower levels and surface levels. It's more of a gradual turning with height as opposed to a rapid turning with height. It's a lot more gradual there, at least on your wind gradient. And then your hodograph also kind of shows that. See how it's not really that much curvature until the end there. So not really much curvature until you get towards the lower level jet side of things. And again, that was in southeastern or more east central Arkansas for 8 p.m. Now we're getting pretty far south. This is really as far south as our potential significant threat for severe weather will go. You're looking at far northeast Louisiana. And man, what happened here? A lot of dry air issues out here in north central Louisiana. So that's why the GFS is not initiating much robust thunderstorms in your open warm sector further south. So right off the bat, I mean, that's going to be a big time underperformance factor right there, at least on the GFS. A lot of analogs for supercells, though. So a lot of similar setups, at least in your analogs for this particular sounding. Not the best. This does not look the best by any means. You have very minimal veering, especially in the lower levels. You have quite a substantially weaker. It's not weak, but it's definitely a weaker lower level jet towards, of course, the lower levels. Good temperature dew point spread. You're only at about, what, a 6 or so? 5, 6? I think that's 5. Pretty sure that's 5 if I know how to do math. But again, just the dry air, so much dry air between your 250 and your 850 millibar. I mean, thunderstorms are going to try to fire, and then they're just going to be completely cut off at about the 7,000 feet level. So they won't be able to become robust supercells. They're going to be more of miniature supercells, if not rain showers with very minimal severe characteristics. If this does actually happen, I think we're going to see quite the downtrend, though, in that mid-level dry air there. I think that's going to start being solved on the GFS as we get closer to the event, as the GFS realizes that it's way too far to the northwest with the greatest threat. Then here, we're going really far south. I don't think this is going to be much of a chance for severe weather. I think this is on like the edge of that slight risk for severe weather, but just looking at it anyways, it's not terrible. If you did get a storm in here, it would be a very miniature supercell, and it probably wouldn't thrive until it got pushed up into that better environment towards like north central Mississippi, towards the, 11 p.m. Eastern time frame. There we go. 11 p.m. Eastern time frame there. All right, this is going a little bit further now. This is 11 p.m. Friday night, going into very early Saturday morning. How's St. Louis looking? Damaging winds, multiple spin-up tornadoes, definitely possible. I think the strongest threat will remain to the south of St. Louis, but St. Louis is definitely in that threat for all hazards, especially winds and spin-up tornadoes. I think the strong tornado threat, though, will be a little bit off to your south, where those storms could be more semi-discrete. So again, this one out here, northwestern Mississippi, towards the 11 p.m. Eastern time frame. Here, I'll show you really quick. Give me just a second. Because this is important, just so you guys know generally where I think moisture is going to stop being very sufficient. So I don't think we will see that greatest area of moisture get past like this area and here. So if you are anywhere north of like this area, somewhere in here, that moisture is going to start to become a little less favorable. The greatest threat overall should end up being back in here. That's where it seems like models are in the most agreement for the highest chance of severe weather. That might shift a little bit to the southwest with time. So we'll keep an eye on that. Just to show you a model run here, the newest GFS, that greatest on the GFS at least, the greatest tornado threat would be right in this corridor. Right in that corridor. From about 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern. And again, like I said, damaging winds spin up tornadoes along this entire area to the north. This whole region up here. Maybe a little bit too far north into central Wisconsin there, but generally that entire area. And then further to the south, we might have a dry air issue down here, so we'll watch that. So we've got a moisture issue up here, and we've got a potential dry air issue down here, and we should have a perfect environment right in the middle for strong tornadoes, which is why they issued that enhanced risk for severe weather really right over that area. And of course, they didn't just use the GFS. They looked at pretty much all the model runs you can, and then they came to that conclusion as well. All right, back over to, let's see if I can find the sounding. What are the chances I click right on the sounding we switched off of there? That's crazy. So, again, northwestern Mississippi. Biggest issue here is Cape and lapse rates. However, this is getting into the overnight hours, so this is probably when things are already going to be congealed into a line. So definitely a spin-up tornado threat, maybe even an isolated strong spin-up tornado threat, with that lower level wind shear being quite favorable. 232 lower level helicity there from the surface to 1 kilometer. Definitely favorable for some spin-up strong tornadoes there. Not long-tracked strong tornadoes, though, because it will be, like I said, a line at this point, and those lapse rates will be decreasing. Gracious day, that photograph changed a lot. We went really far north. Look at the difference in that photograph at the top right. So, yeah, this is really, really far to the northeast here. This is in central, kind of north-central Illinois. So... yeah, definitely a spin-up tornado threat. Maybe even quite a few spin-up tornadoes being possible here in the overnight hours as that line congeals up, and definitely plenty of varying. So if this were, more of into the daylight hours, this would end up being probably a significant threat for tornadoes, maybe even long-track tornadoes. However, it's going to end up being overnight. So things will be in a line. You'll probably end up with multiple spin-up tornadoes being possible. The strong tornado threat's really just going to come down to that moisture and probably the lapse rates as well. But definitely that moisture. I mean, that is barely sufficient for a notable tornado threat there. But the greatest threat in this area, central Illinois, definitely damaging winds, spin-up tornadoes. Again, could see a spin-up strong tornado, depending on how things trend over the next few hours, or rather the next few days. Really good sounding here. Okay, we moved to Dixie Alley, that's why. We moved to Dixie Alley Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. That analog list is full, absolutely full of analogs there. Really good, near perfect, if not perfect, temperature dew point spread. Great lower level lapse rates. Pretty good decape, not the best. Good instability. I don't know what happened to your lower level jet there, but you do not have a lower level jet pretty much at all there. You're at only 93 surface to 1 kilometer helicity. You need at least 150, at the minimum 150 surface to 1 kilometer helicity to see that strong tornado threat. So that is a big issue on this sounding. That's the only issue, to be honest with you. Then as we get into more of the midday here, a little bit more northeast towards 2 p.m., still lower level jet issue, but perfect sounding other than that lower level jet issue for long track strong to intense tornadoes. And there you go. We fixed it. We fixed it. Moving into the 5 p.m. time frame. Your lapse rates did weaken a bit. A little bit weaker on those lapse rates. A little capping inversion down in this area here. Some, not really your EML there. Your EML is best located towards that 700 millibar level, right around there. This is more of a capping inversion closer to the surface. That's about 1 kilometer up in the atmosphere. So that could prevent any mature supercells from strengthening in that open warm sector there. But if you did get an established supercell, it would definitely thrive in this area, in this environment. Yeah, so that's your email. See this? This is more of your email right here. Once it's above that 700 millibar line, that's where it's a good area for your EML. That's a really good EML right there. Where is that at? Okay, that's at 11 p.m. on Friday night. So probably not going to see any prefrontals there. Yeah, things would congeal up into a line at that point. But if that was in place towards the middle of the day, that would prevent overconvection. A little bit more north towards central Alabama, towards the 5 p.m. time frame. Lacking on those lapse rates, but those lapse rates would improve rapidly through the very late evening hours and into the night hours. They would improve quite a bit. I don't know if they would improve past 7, but they would definitely, the lower levels would improve up to about 7, between 6.6 and 7 Celsius there. Pretty good photograph there as well. Definitely not a bad setup for severe weather. We'll try to pick a more potent sounding. This is into the overnight hours in central Alabama. You're looking at, shoot. Is this 11 p.m.? 11 p.m.? Yeah. I think this is 11 p.m. 11 p.m. Saturday night. Yeah, lower level lapse rates definitely became more of an issue there in central Alabama. So lapse rates probably going to end up being an issue, at least for a long-tracked tornado threat. But we're still going to see a strong to intense tornado threat, maybe even a long-track tornado threat, depending on where those best lapse rates set up out here and exactly what happens over the next few days with which way these model runs trend. Let me go back here again. I'm going to close out all these soundings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 soundings is what we pulled there. I like that sounding analysis. Might have to start doing that more often. The only problem with it is models change so much, so those soundings are going to be shifting around a lot, especially for the next couple days. I highly disagree, severe weather alert. Nope, don't agree one bit. I am very confident we will see a widespread threat for damaging winds, probably significant, and a widespread area for multiple tornadoes, probably a few significant. And again, that would be your best threat for significant tornadoes would be south of the St. Louis metro area. That damaging wind threat would probably be maximized over the St. Louis area. That would probably end up being where your greatest threat for damaging winds will set up, right over St. Louis. Let's see. Will Friday and Saturday be an all-day event, or what is the timing? So Friday, it looks like storms will probably get going after the 4 p.m. time frame, right around or just after the 4 p.m. Eastern time frame on Friday. They'll last throughout all day Friday into the complete overnight hours, all night Saturday, and then finally as you get into Saturday, or rather all morning Saturday morning. Then as you get into Saturday afternoon, there will be a little break of severe weather. But this line here, I mean, this line is going to form generally in this area around the time frame of 5, 6 p.m. Eastern, move northeast, and I mean, that's going to stay a threat for severe weather and spin up tornadoes throughout the entire night of Friday night into Saturday morning. But then as you get towards like between 9 and 10 a.m. Eastern Saturday morning, we'll have a little break of severe weather. The atmosphere will begin to try to recover in this area, or a little bit more west. There you go. Generally in that area, the atmosphere will try to recover. The atmosphere will be trying to recover in this area. And then as you get towards the 2 p.m. time frame Saturday, storms will begin to ignite once again. So we'll have a little break of severe weather Saturday morning, but we're going to see a very long duration severe weather event here, especially starting Friday afternoon through Friday night into Saturday morning. Then, like I said, that quick 6 hour break, and then Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, Saturday night, all severe weather, and then probably continuing with severe weather through a good chunk of Sunday as well until the system finally gets off the coast of the Carolinas extremely early Monday morning. Of course, that could change, but that's generally what we're looking at the moment. We're looking at a discrete, no, not fully discrete. We're looking at a semi-discrete to a clustered mode for Friday, at least in Arkansas, northern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, or rather southern Missouri. And then that's going to congeal up into a line as we get past the 11 p.m. time frame. So we'll start out semi-discrete. We'll probably get a little clustered, and then once we get into those overnight hours, we'll get linear. Uh, you don't see it. Look at this right here. This line of potentially damaging winds right there, moving northeast, right into the state of Wisconsin. Just the sheer amount of forcing we have up there in Wisconsin and northern Illinois will allow for the chance of damaging winds, probably through the entire state of Wisconsin. I don't think it will be significant damaging winds, but widespread 30 to 50 mile an hour winds. Isolated areas, especially in southern Wisconsin, could reach as high as 60 mile an hour winds. Yeah, you can see southern Wisconsin where that instability will be the greatest. Is going to end up being your best shot at 60 mile an hour winds embedded inside that line. Or more of not really embedded per se, but just in the line as a whole. Wow, what a low pressure southwest of California right now. Reminds me of a hurricane we saw last year. We had a hurricane and there wasn't much convection around the eye, so it was just an open low pressure. That's what we're dealing with here off the coast of California. Not a hurricane, but you have a open low pressure. See if I can show you guys this. Let's see. Eastern Pacific. Oh, come on. Watch them not have a sector for it. That's going to be up in like Alaska, huh? Nope, there you go. It's not as clearly defined here, but you have an open low right there. Completely open low. Let me switch you over here. So you can see that completely open low pressure right there. Tiny little low. Open low pressure is right there. And by what I mean by open is you can clearly see it. Now, is it actually a closed low? I can go ahead and tell you in a second. Let's see here. Give me this one. Go here. It is definitely a closed low. It's for the moment, a closed low, but it's going to fluctuate between a closed and non-closed low, especially as we get into tomorrow afternoon. It's going to turn into more of a non-closed low. Man, we almost have a high-resolution satellite over it. So close. If that was just a little more south. But man, what a low pressure. That is a awesome low pressure right there. Again, you can clearly see right where my cursor is. That's your open low. in terms of able to see it, but actually technically a closed low. I know it's a little confusing there. Open low in the sense you can see it, closed in the sense of it's well organized. What's the pressure on that thing? I think it's about like what, like probably 998 or so. Maybe not even that low, to be honest with you. Surface low pressure. It is a 999. There you go. It's a 999 surface low. That was very, very close. So definitely no hurricane, I can tell you that. Just being able to see the low pressure that clearly in open water reminded me of a hurricane last year, where we had a lot of convection all around it, but the actual low itself was exposed. Pretty cool to see that. Pretty cool to see that. It's not rare. You know, you're gonna see it a couple times a year for sure. Especially if you're really looking for it. If you're really looking for it, you're gonna find a lot of low pressures that you can just see from satellite imagery. Most of those would probably end up being in the northeastern Pacific near Alaska, I'd imagine. Or off the coastline of California, both of those areas. I imagine they're pretty common. Let's see here. So for western Missouri, you're not looking at much severe weather. That's why no one's talking about it. If you're talking like Kansas City, yeah, storms will fire off to your east, and you'll probably deal with some rain, maybe. Maybe you could see some rain, but most likely storms are going to end up firing off to your east. Now, if things slow down with our trough ejection, then our severe storms would fire sooner. But at the moment, it looks like storms will fire probably east of Kansas City and then make their way into central Missouri, towards the 7 p.m. Central time frame. Oh, now Joplin, that's southwest Missouri. I don't think you're going to be out of it completely. Joplin is going to be on the edge of that slight risk. It's tricky to say exactly where storms will fire. I'm going to go off the Euro model because I feel like that's our more accurate model, and that has storms firing just to the southwest of Joplin, then moving into Joplin towards the 6 p.m. Central time frame, Friday evening. So you're definitely going to have a risk for, if storms can fire, you're going to have a risk for damaging winds, small hail, and depending on exactly where they fired, maybe a tornado risk. If they fire like an hour to your southwest, then you're going to have a greater tornado risk in Joplin. But if they fire over Joplin or just barely to the west of Joplin, they won't have enough time to mature into supercells before they get to you. So we're thinking storms will fire somewhere out in here, grow upscale for an hour or two, and then peak in tornado intensity and severe weather intensity overall somewhere in central Arkansas into south central Missouri. And then begin to grow upscale after 11 p.m. Eastern, moving through eastern Arkansas, southeastern Missouri. That's the thinking. Now, that's probably going to change somewhat as we get closer. Shreveport. So Shreveport, that's difficult to say because there's not a lot of model runs that are in consistency and in agreement on Shreveport seeing a notable threat for severe weather. You're just going to have to watch it because it depends which way those model runs trend. Right now, the GFS has dry air in the mid-levels, and so when your thunderstorms try to form, they get through the lower levels, they get to about around 10,000 feet up into the atmosphere, and then they just start to die off because you have dry air above that 850 millibar level. That really starts to be extremely dry towards the 600 to 700 millibar level. So if that doesn't downtrend and we don't see a more moist environment towards the 700 millibar level, then most likely you're going to see a lot lesser severe threat. Confusing my words here. Welcome, Matthew, and thank you, Jessica, for the $2 donation there. I'm in Conway, Arkansas. I'm in their target. Let's see here. Yep, right in the middle of it. You definitely need to be hyper weather aware. You definitely need to be very hyper weather aware. I'm going to just be straightforward with you. You're looking at strong tornadoes, multiple tornadoes, damaging winds 60, 70 miles per hour, and some large hail up to about 1.5 inches in diameter, all being possible. Main threat will definitely end up being damaging winds and tornadoes. And like I said, could see a few strong tornadoes generally in that enhanced risk. It doesn't mean it will be over your area. If we just check here, assuming this would be a 10 sig tour, that would mean that we have about a 10% chance of a tornado within a 25-mile radius of where you are. So within that whole area there, we have a 10% chance for a tornado. Now, that could get upgraded. That could indeed get upgraded to a moderate risk, which would be a 15%. But at the moment, we're looking at probably a 10% or a 10 sig tor threat with damaging winds. The reason for that enhanced risk is probably damaging winds and tornadoes. Considering they didn't mention much of a hail threat. Hail threat will probably be the lowest threat for severe weather with this system. Watch it somehow end up being the highest threat. No, I don't see hail being a big issue. We could definitely see, as high as 1.75 inch hail, but we're not going to get really far up there on that hail threat. Why do people keep calling the GFS an outlier? Because it is. Hold on. This nerd just said that the GFS isn't an outlier. Let's go show him. Let's show him, y'all. You ready? Here's the GFS at 18Z on a Friday. Your low is right there on the GFS. Actually, even more east than that. Right there. Now watch this. Look at the euro. There's the euro. Way back here. Way back here. You're going to tell me that's not an outlier? Like, huh? Look at that difference. That's got to be a good 150 some miles, right? Yeah, like you're probably looking at a good 150 some miles or so. All right, okay. He didn't say that really. If I go back up to his chat here from literally a minute ago, I wouldn't say it's an outlier, though. You're telling me he didn't say it's an outlier? I'll go right back up again. I wouldn't say it's an outlier, though. He literally said that. What? He literally said it. No, he didn't say why. He said, I wouldn't say it's an outlier, though. I'm going to screenshot it just in case he decides to delete it. He didn't say why. Oh, sure, it's a typo. Now that you see it's an outlier, you say it's a typo. I did see his first comment up there. It said, TRG, why are people saying the GFS is an outlier? Then his one right after that said, I wouldn't say it's an outlier. Also, thank you, Jessica, for the extra $2 donation. I appreciate it. Yep, I definitely want to be hyper weather aware, especially in your area, because you're right in that enhanced risk. Thank you, Matthew, for the $5 donation. Haha. Good one, Nightbot. Nightbot actually did something right for once. I appreciate it. Not to Misty, though. Misty, you can't spam emojis like that. Nightbot's gonna get you. Let's see. Would you chase Friday or Saturday? And I am gonna ask. Oh no, it's Twitter. You must be from Twitter. Could you see a moderate risk either day potentially? I could see a moderate risk on both days. Actually, I would not be surprised with a double moderate, both on Friday and Saturday. It's hard to say. It's definitely difficult to say which one's more likely. Um, right now, I'm not confident in a moderate risk, but if we see uptrends, the way that I think model runs are going to go, because I think we're going to see uptrends on the GFS model run and the CAM models as we get closer. So I think we could see a moderate risk on Friday. And then Saturday's threat will probably have a lot of morning convection. So that's going to be something that, we're going to have to see what cams show. But Saturday also has that chance as well. Right now, I feel like Friday has the better chance, but that could easily be taken away if we don't see a moisture uptrend. Very easily, Friday could end up just staying enhanced risk. And I would definitely chase Friday. Saturday is Dixie Alley, broccoli, left, right, center, everywhere. You can't see a thing, and not a fan of that. I'd think about chasing Saturday towards like eastern Mississippi, west central Alabama for any daytime tornadoes, but Friday looks like we're going to see supercells fire along that cold front. And so I would definitely be targeting more of Friday's risk for severe weather. However, there's a chance storms don't fire Friday till quite late. There's that small chance that we don't see storms fire till about 7 p.m. Central, and that's getting towards sunset, if I'm not mistaken. But I would definitely choose Friday over Saturday, just because simply because of location. Really. Hello, Parliament. Welcome to the stream. Glad to see you're still alive. Yeah, Twitter will switch up so fast on you. They went 2 days ago. I saw people calling this possible high risk, and even going as far as saying, of course, of course. Um, Someone was saying super outbreak possible because of how widespread it looked, and of course, comparing it to March 31st, 2023, which was a debatable super outbreak, and now that it's all downtrended, everybody's like, it's over. Nothing's going to happen. Tornado threat's going to be very confined, small warm sector, bust. They all switched up. They all switched up on me. I just went on Twitter and it seems like people are noticing that the GFS is finally starting to agree more with the Euro and the Canadian and um, other model runs as well. Dude, that is just crazy. I gotta show you guys. Wait, I think I have a College Due page pulled up over here. Yeah. Just in case you didn't see the crazy downtrend, I have to show you. Just in case. Let's go to the GFS here. Let's go to the proper time. There you go. Look at that. Oh, sweet. I could actually save it as an animation here. That downtrend is crazy. We went from possibly one of the biggest warm sectors, definitely the biggest warm sector we've seen this year. Definitely the biggest warm sector we've seen this year, all the way down to that tiny little thing right there. The tiniest little area of a warm sector. Now, if we go to the Euro model, you can see the Euro model is quite different. It has downtrended slightly. It is definitely downtrended slightly compared to the GFS. But it still shows that quite large open warm sector across this whole area in here. And more notably, it shows 55-degree dew points. If we go just one frame more and compare it again, it shows those 55-degree dew points up into like north central Missouri. Whereas with the GFS, it doesn't have it nearly as far. I'll show you the GFS again. We'll load it out to the same time frame. So there's the Euro and the GFS for the same time frame at 11 p.m. Friday night. And you can see the Euro model that takes 55 dew points into north central Missouri, west central Illinois, whereas the GFS is way far east, and it does take that as far north as like southeast Missouri. Wow, holy cow. Thank you, Matthew, for the $50 donation. Gracious. Saying I appreciate what you do, bud. I hope to maybe get to be a good friends with you. I already consider us friends. I'm going to be honest with you. I already consider you my friend. I mean, we're already messaging on Twitter, so you're already a friend in my book, and I appreciate the $50 donation. That's really, really appreciated. Gracious, that's crazy. Thank you, Matt. That is really appreciated. My word, $50 donation from Matthew. Gracious. Yeah, all my mods are my friends. So, unfortunately, Ben is considered a friend. Again, Matthew, I really, really appreciate that. That is crazy. I wonder if, Matthew, I appreciate that. I wonder if Ben caught that. Ben, did you catch it? I don't think he did. I said, unfortunately, I'm friends with Ben. I don't think he caught that. He just heard friends, Ben, and went, yay! I said, unfortunately. You did catch it? Aw. I'm so nice to my mods. Again, Matthew, once again, I really appreciate it. That means a lot. Like I said, we're already friends in my book. And you're very welcome to message me anytime on Twitter. I don't mind it at all. Let me see here. I want to find this. Oh, well. Alright. I don't think there's any other model ones to look at. We really looked at everything here, so... Yeah, I mean, that's really our whole briefing. We still have a while left, so... we'll just wait here, kind of talk about some random things, probably. That's normally how it goes towards the end of these live streams. There could be some pretty crazy discussions in the chat. It's difficult to keep them on track sometimes. Especially Ben. He goes a little crazy sometimes. Oh, man. Rango, did you just compare this to April 27th, 2011? That's crazy because my family member in central Alabama, they're now under the enhanced risk right here. They're near Birmingham, so they're under the enhanced risk for severe weather. They messaged me this morning, and they were talking about just people overall in the area. They follow a lot of people in the weather community and who are in Alabama, And a lot of people were saying it could be a similar setup to April 27th, 2011. I highly doubt any of those were meteorologists, so I told them who they followed to see if they were credible. But just the fact that my family members were following people who compared this setup to April 27th, 2011 was just I was shocked. I was like, if anybody is comparing this to April 27th, 2011, you just need to ignore them, unfollow them, just try to get them off your feed because it's not even remotely close to April 27th, 2011. The kinematics, the thermodynamics, how it progresses, the overall setup as itself, I mean, it's just nowhere close to that. It's not even remotely close. So that was a very surprising message I got this morning. One of my family members asking if this was going to be April 27th, 2011 all over again because Facebook was going crazy. It surprises me all the time how people just Dixie Alley, enhanced risk. Oh man, it's going to be April 27th, 2011 all over again, man. It doesn't even have to be like a moderate. It could even be a slight risk on the day 3 outlook, and you'll find somebody saying April 27th, 2011 all over again. It's wild, man. Now, there's nothing wrong with looking at analogs. The best analog for this threat, one of the better ones, is probably March 31st, 2023. You've heard me say that a lot. And that's because it is somewhat similar. It is definitely somewhat similar. However, March 31st had way better moisture, and that's what we are missing from this. It will not be another March 31st repeat like you've probably seen on Twitter. I saw that earlier today, believe it or not. Man, I need to clear out my feed. I got the hypers back on my feed today. Moisture is so important. Literally 10-degree moisture difference is crazy. If you have 50-degree dew points, that's barely sufficient for even a low-end tornado threat. 60-degree dew points, all of a sudden you're looking at a notable tornado threat, maybe even a strong tornado threat, depending on your actual kinematics. But, I mean, just, again, the fact that people compare every setup in Dixie Alley to April 27th, 2011 just blows my mind. The Twitter James spam memes are wild. They're getting crazier, Matthew. Like, they're speeding these things up. They're adding extra 40-second clips sped up, putting rainbow effects all over them and dizzy effects. I mean, man, they're going all out with that meme, aren't they? They are not going to let it die. Personally, I like the first one with the Vine boom. Like, the pretty much the first or second remake of it was the best, in my opinion. Really true, Rockets. Very true. I liked the Vine Boom edition, but then after that, I mean, the speed up, the all the other stuff. It's crazy. I'm still gonna find it funny though. I still love it. I just personally love the second one the most, or the third one. I don't know which. I don't know what order it went in. We need someone to make a timeline of the James Spann meme and how it was edited to what it is now. Yes, Rango, we can compare a day 5 enhanced risk to a high risk 45 sig tour. No, it's not even close. It is not even close. That setup is also completely different. Because pink doesn't mean high risk in my thumbnail. Pink is just the... It depends. It varies on my thumbnails. In this case, the pink, I tried my best to outline the pink where the slight risk for severe weather was on the SPC site. Or the purplish pink. But every thumbnail, it changes. Sometimes the pink could mean the best chance for a tornado or two. Sometimes it could mean the best chance for a strong tornado. Sometimes it could mean the best chance for snow. It changes from thumbnail to thumbnail. But those are just the thumbnails that work the best for me. They're quite easy to make. I can make them in about 5 minutes. I try to make them as accurate as I can. Some of them do take as long as like 20 minutes, especially the ones that I have to be more specific on. But those are the thumbnails that have worked the best for me. If you don't like them, get over it. I mean, they're just the front of the live stream. You have to click on it in order to see exactly what the threats are. Let's see here. Why is my YouTube chat screen tearing? Let me go up here further. 18Z Euro looks good. That's what Matthew said. I was trying to find that one comment because he said it looks good from a storm chasing perspective. I was trying to see what you said. Yeah, it definitely does. Even the 12Z looked good. I'm guessing the 18Z looks way better or somewhat better. I mean, the 12Z already looks really good, so I'll check the 18Z now. At least the best I can. I can't check the full run. Did it change much? Is it higher moisture? Man, I can't get more than 90 frames on this thing. I wish I could get the full 144. I'm gonna have to wait until it comes out on College Due page in like friggin' 5 hours or something. We got downtrends and now we got uptrends. Yep. Get rid of the downtrends and here comes uptrends. Now, actually what it is its model run's starting to sort it out. It's really what I was expecting, to be completely honest with you. I still think the GFS is underdoing it significantly, but the Euro, if the Euro is starting to uptrend, that's a little bit of a eyebrow raiser there because I didn't really expect to see any uptrends on the Euro. So that would surprise me if we're uptrending on the Euro. Because that model run has been fairly consistent for like the last 2 days on where moisture placement will be. Proxy, I don't know the future, buddy. I can't tell you which day is going to be more significant. My guess is Friday, but Saturday could easily be more significant. Right now, I mean, they're really equal, to be honest with you. On like our GFS and the Euro, they're really equal. TRG, will they expand the slight? I don't know what the heck that second word is. I know what TRG is. That's me. But what the heck is will they expand the slight? That's crazy. Threw a K in there. I don't think so. Possible for Saturday. If you're talking about Friday, I don't think Friday will change much. Saturday, I wouldn't be shocked to see that 15% go up into Ohio, Western PA. I wouldn't be surprised with it. I think that could go a little bit more northeast, to be honest with you. Hey, I mess up town names. At least I don't get, crazy typos like that one. Totally don't have crazy typos. I've never done a typo. What? Me typo? Nah. What you knowing about rockets? Are you talking about Caleb getting severe weather? Yeah, no, he won't. My YouTube chat froze for a second, so I had to refresh it, and that was right when I was done refreshing it. Rocket said no, so for a few seconds, I thought I disconnected. I thought I disconnected because I couldn't see anything, and then right when I came back, it was just no. Sam, I do not know where you are, buddy. Hey, Parliament, I know where you are. um, well, that is if you're not in Florida, because you freaking teleport everywhere. I swear, one of these days you're gonna be in like California or something. Yep. You're gonna be in the risk for some isolated severe weather. I don't think you'll be in the highest risk. But definitely could see some damaging winds very early morning Saturday. I don't think you have much of a tornado threat or a hail threat. It's really just isolated damaging winds. Nothing crazy. Yep, I know where you are too, Legacy. I know where all my mods are. Maybe except for Ben, where are you again? I think I know where you are, but I just want to make sure that you're the person that I think you are. Let's see. South Carolina. You're in like what, northwestern South Carolina? Yep. This was close to where I was thinking you were. I was thinking you were more of up here, so I would have gotten that wrong. Um, Probably some damaging winds early Sunday morning. Maybe a tornado threat, but it's a little too far out to say. I don't think it will be significant. But just some isolated damaging winds Sunday morning. Yep, I was right. San Antonio, Texas. That's what I was thinking. Just wanted to make sure. Mods ban Caleb. What'd he say this time? Caleb's got to be the mod who's been closest to getting banned. I think he's the only one who's actually like pushed the limits. I might have actually banned him one time before and then remodded him. He's the risky mod. All right, well, if you guys have any questions or concerns or anything you want me to clear up, weather-wise here, all right, get it, the website, weather-wise. Go ahead and put them in the chat, and I'll answer some questions here. Welcome, DeAndre, to the stream. Glad to see you in here. I apologize for missing you earlier. I think I missed you earlier and forgot. I apologize. Has there ever been a 60 sig tour? I know there's been a 60% probability outlook, high risk on the day 2. But I forget if there's been... I think there has been, right? In Dixie Alley. I think there has been a 60 sig tour. Pretty sure. Pretty sure we went over this. I'm pretty sure we went over this at the end of one of our live streams when we were rambling. Iowa, let's see here. Let's see here. Definitely damaging winds being the primary concern. I wouldn't fully rule out a spin-up tornado if we can get enough instability up there, but primarily it's going to be damaging winds. We'll wait for this to load. I'll show you. What's Friday night, right? Where's the storms at? Oh, there you go. Yeah, probably Friday night, sometime after 7 p.m. Central will be the primary threat. Damaging winds of about 60 miles an hour. Who's the best mod in TRG's channel? They're all the best mods. If you have siblings, you've ever gone to your mom and you just ask, am I your favorite child? That's what you guys just did. All my mods are equally the same. Oh, zip code. Hey, you don't happen to be from Italy, right? Because that's where it took me to. I got a viewer from Italy. I'm sure that's wrong. Let's see. Georgia? Perhaps? Northwest Georgia. Near Rome. Let's see here. I think Saturday is definitely going to be your biggest risk, but probably primarily damaging winds and a few spin up tornadoes. You may have a strong tornado threat. It depends on the timing of these storms. And we're a little too far out to know that exact timing, but definitely a tornado threat, definitely damaging winds being possible. That strong tornado threat, we'll have to figure out a little bit closer if you're going to be included in that strong tornado threat. We got to wait till we get closer. Like I said, we could see a moderate on both days. That's a possibility. But will we? Well, I'm not the Storm Prediction Center, and nor do I know the future, so I can't tell you for sure there. But it's definitely possible. Southeast Wisconsin, primary threat, definitely damaging winds. Brief spin-up tornado, probably around the 2 a.m. Central Time frame. A very early morning Saturday. Very, very early morning Saturday. Thank you, DeAndre. It's greatly appreciated. Glad to see you back in here. High risk though either days. Again, I am not one who can fully predict the future or know the future, so I won't comment on that one. I do think both days could be as high as moderate risks. Past that, we gotta wait till we get closer to say anything close to a high risk. But high risks are very difficult to achieve. I mean, you have to have the perfect environment for that. Get my crystal ball out. It's packed away in the closet. I'm saving it for May. I'm saving it for May at the moment. I'll get that out in May and start predicting tornado warnings. Day of the severe events. But yeah, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if either one go moderate, being honest with you. We're going to have some downtrends, but we're definitely going to end up with some uptrends here and there. So I wouldn't be surprised with a moderate somewhere in the middle of this risk here for Friday. And also on Saturday, I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up with a moderate risk somewhere in that area as well. Exactly where, I can't tell you. And then, like I said, in terms of a high risk, that's way too far out to even comment on. If anyone's talking about a high risk, all they're doing is hyping. And then again, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they stay enhanced all the way till day one either. I mean, they're going to issue whatever risks they issue according to which way models trained, and at the moment, that's an enhanced risk. I can't tell you how model runs are going to trend over the next 36 to 72 hours. That may or may not warrant them to pull a moderate trigger or not. Right now, we need moisture to improve significantly if we're going to be seeing a moderate risk. Yeah, don't want a moderate. Even an enhanced risk for severe weather, I mean, those can be very widespread and significant. So it'd be good if everything could just downtrend and we don't got to deal with a severe threat. But unfortunately, we are in tornado season, so we're going to have to deal with them. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and probably hop off here in just a bit. We're 6 likes away from our like goal, so if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. We'll be back here tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, same time, for another 1 to 2 hour live stream. Like I said, daily live streams from here all the way till Sunday. I can guarantee a stream. Well, tomorrow, if we don't see any major changes, maybe I won't stream, but I'm going to plan on it. So there's a very good chance I do stream. So we'll plan on a stream tomorrow, which is Tuesday. We're going to be live Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday is a little up in the air because I don't know if the threat is going to be early Sunday. I don't know if the threat's going to even be high enough for a stream Sunday, and I don't know if I'm going to storm chase Sunday. So Sunday's the only day that's a little bit more up in the air. If I do cancel tomorrow's live stream, I will definitely let you know in the community post. But at this moment, I'm going to plan to go live at 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Obviously, if you want the newest information, you could go ahead and just watch the first 20-30 minutes of this live stream. We went over everything. And of course, if you want to stay up to date over the next coming days, make sure you're following your official National Weather Service, your Storm Prediction Center, and all other official government sources for your best and most accurate weather information. You could also subscribe here. Like I said, we'll be doing daily live streams from here through Saturday, and leave a like on the live stream as well. Share the channel with family, friends, social media. It's greatly appreciated. And yeah, still another minute before we switch on over to our ending screen here. I also appreciate the new about 20 some subscribers we got today. That's greatly appreciated. Hopefully you guys stick around a bit. And yeah, that's going to be about it. Again, just going back to our super chatters, I appreciate it. Jessica for the $4, Matthew for the $55, and Girl Dev for the $5 donation as well. It's always appreciated, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday night. We are right at 100 for our likes, so that is our like goal. I really appreciate you guys hitting that like button, and yeah, thank you, mods, from on chat. I'm going to go ahead and switch on over to our ending screen now. I'll go over here to our ending scene. Pete, did I say something wrong? Am I going to wake up to me being canceled on Twitter again? Wouldn't surprise me. Wrong one. Let's go over here. Let's go to this one. Nothing wrong? Good, good. I don't need the Twitter 14-year-old police on my tail today or tomorrow or ever again. But all right. Imagine getting canceled. Pez, you should look in the mirror, buddy. You got... Oh, man. You should look in the mirror. Holy... I don't know many people who got canceled more than you, buddy. You got it rough. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like on the stream, share this stream, and the channel with family, friends, social media. Subscribe if you're new with a notification bell set. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Stay safe, watch severe weather. Thank you, Moss, for on chat, and goodbye. Stay safe, watch severe weather. Thank you, mods from On Chat, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's live stream or the next live stream that I do. Have a great rest of your night. Good.